Hello, so today I'm gonna talk about the biggest challenges that I faced when I returned back home from America. Number one, discouragement from people. So, no one was impressed when I told them that I was coming back to Africa. So, that includes my friends and family. They look at you like you are Boo Boo the Fool, like you are the biggest idiot in the world. Unopenga! Unopenga! But I've managed to deal with this challenge by just accepting the decision that I made, by being at peace with the decision that I made. I look inward and, it's like I prioritize myself. I try to get away from the Abantu Bazotini syndrome. Their opinions don't matter. I ended up not feeling the need to explain to people because I ended up realizing that explaining doesn't really help. No matter how much you explain, some people will never get it because they've never been in your situation. So I think now I am at peace with that understanding that, they don't need to understand. I am the person that needs to understand. And as long as I am at peace with the decision that I made, and as long as I am happy with the decision that I made, that's all that matters. So that's how I dealt with this disappointment. Number two challenge that I face being back home is friendships are a bit fake. I don't know what else to say. Some friendships are a bit fake because there is an element of people wanting to use you, for lack of a better word, just because of that status of you having been to America. People expect you to have a lot of money, and whatnot. So when you hang out with friends or anything like that, people expect you to pay. People don't try to equally contribute to things just because you are the diaspora returnee. So that status is a bit, so if you try to keep up with people's expectations, it can be draining. So one way I went about it was to just isolate myself, which is not something that I recommend, but I realized that was the least stressful solution. Because when you try to get back with friends that you grew up with, or friends from high school or primary school, all those old friends, unfortunately, it's not like you guys will be on the same page. They'll still be looking up to you, and there is an expectation that you will take care of the money part. They expect gifts from you, especially if you actually talk to people before returning. Everybody's just telling you what to bring them. They expect gifts from you. Bring me an iPhone, bring me a laptop. They don't know how expensive these things are because they think, again, money grows on trees back in Africa, right? Yeah. The third challenge I face is, again, almost like it's also in terms of relationships, again, romantic relationships. So dating is a bit harder for you when you return back here from abroad. Whether you like it or not, your experience abroad changes how you see things, what you expect in relationships, right? So for me, I believe I like modern relationships where we don't have gender roles that are like really, really traditional, the traditional gender roles. I don't really ascribe to that. I still believe that men and women are not the same. I believe in equality, but we are not the same. So division of labor and doing different things is okay. But then the traditional of like women here in Africa, just doing a lot of the work at home, taking care of kids alone, not having men's support in like maybe changing diapers, basic things around the house that men don't do. To me, it's a big pet peeve of mine. And when I date, I don't even want those traditional roles to come into a relationship when dating, because I don't expect that to be in a marriage. That is, if I get married eventually. So it's been difficult because from the very first day I go on dates with some guys here in Africa, we clash already. Like, I try to give it some time, or go on second dates, or talk to people a little bit more, get to know them, and there is a huge clash of values and what we expect. And it's a bit of a challenge because, again, I am coming from a different cultural background, because whatever other cultures I got exposed to abroad had an impact of who I am as a person, what I expect in relationships. So yeah, relationships are a bit difficult to navigate. And it looks like And I'm not willing to compromise on certain things. I'm not saying it's impossible to find someone who matches you. There are even some guys that have never been abroad, that were raised here in Africa, but raised differently, that I can potentially match with in terms of values and what they expect a woman to do in a relationship. But it's just harder. It's not easy at all. So yeah, for someone who doesn't want to settle like me, just settle for anybody, it means I have to be alone for a longer time than, it's hard to find a man who fits my expectations. It just is, unfortunately. Moving on. The fourth challenge that I faced at home is people's attitudes, in life. People have a tendency to complain back here on the continent, so it's a bit discouraging. So this is different from the discouragement I talked about earlier. This is like general victim mindset, I would say. Like almost every day people have a habit of complaining and not taking responsibility ever. I do agree that the economy is a challenge. I do agree that politicians are screwing us, but must we complain every day? Every single day must we always say, like, I don't know. This complaining attitude is like, for me, I don't know, I struggle a lot dealing with people who complain a lot. And if everybody around you is always complaining, can you imagine how negative that environment gets? So I realized that there is a huge, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like there's just this cloud of gloom that kind of sits over us. It's like gloomy. It's like you can't even have hope for the future with the way that a lot of us talk. Yes, there are valid reasons why people think that way, but then to see everybody just internalize negativity and not see any possibility, it's a bit discouraging, and it's very hard for you to continue to be active and pursue anything that you really want. Because with this mindset, if it gets to you, and your environment influences how you act in this world, so at some point it really gets to you and you just become this complacent person who doesn't do anything, because again, there is a comfort zone of people who are just complaining. So you can literally live comfortably in Africa just complaining every day and not making any progress, and that will be fine because that's what everybody around you is doing. A lot of people around are doing that. So it's like, yeah. So I realized that for me to be inspired, I would have to live in different environments where wealthier people tend to live. I feel like those are the only places that you feel inspired. But again, that brings the challenge of budget, because for you to save money, you have to kind of downgrade your lifestyle. That goes into the fifth and final challenge that I faced. The final challenge that I faced, and I'm not even complaining, it's just a challenge that I've found ways to navigate, is downgrading my lifestyle. So I had to look at what really matters, For example, when I got here, I wanted to maintain a lot of things that I used to do in America, like going to the gym, a lot of things. So I realized that I would end up with very expensive bills at the end of the day, because certain things that are basics in America are not basics over here. So I ended up having to rethink. For example, there is a tendency amongst diaspora returnees to go live in the affluent places of Zimbabwe. But then when you do the calculations financially, you realize that it may not be the best decisions, especially if you're trying to save money. So I've learned to downgrade my lifestyle a little bit. So that was the challenge. So all the challenges that I faced, fortunately, have solutions. That's the beauty of coming back home. There is that adjustment curve. I truly believe in it. For me, it took me 6 months to fully adjust to being back home, and I am happy with my decisions. Still, it's been a year now. Unbelievable. It's been a year since I returned, and I am happy and I am at peace with my decision despite the challenges that I have faced. Thank you so much for watching my video. This is where I will end it today. Bye.